This is Israel. This is Iran. They hate each other a lot. Why? Well, it kinda traces back to the origins of its people. The Indo-Europeans migrated into the Fars region, interacted with the Elamites, a cultural fusion which defined the Persians. Meanwhile, this Semitic-speaking Mesopotamian dude migrated to the Levant, and produced the Jews through a painful covenant, depending on what you want to believe is the correct historical truth. Fast forward, after the Bronze Age collapse, some Mesopotamian big bullies came along, beating up both Jews and the Persians. Lots of Jews were carried off to Mesopotamia. The Persians later rose up and conquered everyone. The Achaemenid Empire was an ancient superpower, who allowed the exiled Jews to return to the Levant. Then, Alexander the Great, Hellenistic bullies, Parthians, and the Sasanians. The Iranian empires were constantly having huge beefs with the Romans, whilst the Jews got beaten up and diaspora the crap out of everywhere. In the meantime, the Arabs down south became Muslims, expanded out of the Arabian Peninsula, extended its power from Western Europe to the Indian subcontinent. The Persians adopted Islam, but retained its Persian bureaucracy, court culture, and the Persian language. The Persians eventually formed its very own Persian Islamic dynasties, a distinct Persian Islamic culture which resisted Arabization. The Jews were left to the mercy of Muslim powers. Then, the Seljuk Turks came along, introducing some Turkic bosses into Greater Persia. Meanwhile, some crazy holy Christian crusaders came to the Levant, before getting all chopped up by the Mongols, plus its spin-off movie. After the Mongols got assimilated, the Middle East was carved up by the Ottoman Turks and the Iranian dynasties. The Jews were still scattered across the world, and kept getting expulsed. Thus, some Jews wanted to return to their homeland in the Levant. The Europeans later came along to the Middle East, carving up the Ottoman Empire and the Iranian Qajar Empire. The Brits did a jerk move by giving the southern Levant to the Jews, rather than a unified Arab-Muslim state as previously promised to the Arab nationalists. This is where the beef between the Jews and the Palestinians Arabs in the Levant began. Iran thought the two-state partition solution was a very stupid idea and voted against it, but of course the biggest muscle in the world got its way, and thus Israel was created. At that time, Iran was ruled by a Western-aligned secular monarchy, and thus Iran and Israel had an extremely good relationship, helping each other out in economy and military matters. Nonetheless, the Iranian oil has long been exploited by the West. If the Iranian leaders try to nationalize the oil, coups will happen. In addition, the Israelis and Americans were helping Iran to torture its people. Too many haram things happening in Iran. Unsurprisingly, the Iranian people rose up in revolution under the banner of Islamic Republic ideals, kicking out Western influences. Following the Iranian Revolution, the relationship between Israel and Iran deteriorated, but Israel still supported Iran in beating up Iraq. In other words, the United States funded both Iraq and Iran to bleed each other out. Due to diverging national ideals, Israel and Iran became strategic enemies. Iran encroached Israel via its pawns in the Middle East, whilst Israel kept bombing the crap out of the Iranian puppets, escalating into direct missile strikes between both countries, plus some crazy Houthis doing its usual crazy Houthi stuff. With no immediate peaceful solution in sight, this beef will likely continue until their judgment day. From the super-nationalistic Israelis' point of view, Israel is rightfully the homeland of the Jews. Iran's nuclear program and its support to Israel's enemies must be destroyed, therefore Israel must strike first for national security. From the super-holy religious Iranians' point of view, Israel is the real terrorist who took lands from the Palestinians, a Western puppet and enemy of Islam, and therefore should be utterly destroyed. From the super-holy religious Sunni Muslim countries' point of view, both Israel and Iran are crazy, and it is just a question of picking the lesser evil. From the United States' point of view, it needs to keep funding Israel as a key strategic ally in the Middle East, to ensure a stable environment for the Middle East for freedom, also to counter Russia's global influence. From Russia's point of view, it just need to let America shoot its own foot. America's loss is Russia's gain. Meanwhile, Turkey is just trying to please everyone carefully, trying its best to walk the tightrope towards an independent foreign policy. The main victims are of course the average citizens. Nonetheless, not all Jews and Iranians are sworn enemies to each other, as the average people are more than happy to have a shisha together and picking up girls in a clubbing partying night out, preferably not doing these in their own countries of course. Can Israel and Iran be friends again? Of course, they just need a common ruler again. A resurgent Assyrian Empire might just do the trick. If not, get ready your popcorns for the never-ending drama between these crazy characters. Thanks for watching.